We're going to start with the most controversial video that I have ready for today. Maybe not the most controversial, but up there. We're going to learn about flat earth theories. Who started flat earth conspiracy theory and how many believe this and what do they believe? So I'm pretty interested. Get cozy. Okay, let's start.
Guys, today's episode was an absolute beast to make, and it is truly possible because of sponsors like Dollar Shave Club. If you want to support us, Dollar Shave...
I actually use Dollar Shave Club, so it's great, guys. Dollar Shave Club, sponsor me so I can talk about you, because I actually use you.
Club is one of the best ways to do that, and you can do it for only $5. Now, I don't use Dollar Shave Club on my beard, but I do use it on my head, and it really is great. I used to buy those, the really cheap...
Look at his beautiful bald head. How is it so smooth? Because when I shave anything, it doesn't get that smooth. Like, what magic is this?
Razors from the store, and I don't know why, but they just cut you more. I would end up cutting myself a lot. Maybe it's because I can't see around the back and stuff like that. Not a problem, I imagine, on your beards, but cheap razors, they just...
Like, how does one shave it so beautifully?
Suck. And quality does make a big difference. And the amazing thing about Dollar Shave Club is that quality doesn't come with a crazy price tag. And I mean, who
really
wants
cheap,
to buy crazy expensive razors? And
Dollar Shave Club is really cheap. It's really cheap and I like it. And it just delivers it. So I never have to remember to buy razors. It just shows up. It just shows up when I need it the most.
At the store, I still balk at the crazy price of those like ultra plastic wrapped razors. I don't...
Like, it's just shaving alone. I think he has patchy hair. He might only have like a little bit of hair right in the back of his nape of his neck. He might be just bald.
Don't get it. $5 at Dollar Shave Club gets you an executive razor, 3 tubes of shaving stuff, a scrub, shaving butter, and a post-shave dew. Yes, that was absolutely a tongue twister. They also have an oral...
Yeah, I think it's only like an American and Canadian thing. That sucks.
...kit and a shower kit. Those are just $5 each if you want in on those.
Also, I tried this, prep, shave, all that stuff. This does nothing. This, you just take the razor and you use soap. Doesn't matter what kind of soap. You just use soap and then you shave. You don't. Use a loofah, scrub and exfoliate your skin before shaving. Get off that dead cells. And then just use soap and shave.
As well. The toothbrush is good. I had one where the bristles, they're supposed to be like this, but mine was kind of like this. So it's good that I got that replaced. Also, the shower stuff is also worth it as well. But for
Hold on. If your toothbrush looks like this, chat, if your toothbrush looks like this, you are putting way too much pressure when you're brushing. You're not supposed to be pushing down like you're trying to dig for gold. Your brush should never look like this. Ever. Never, ever. Okay, can we get out of this ad, please?
Worth it as well. But for me, as a man with, a big bald head to shave, the razors are where I would go if I were you, and I wanted to get started with Dollar Shave Club and support today, I found out. So you can go to dollarshaveclub.com.
I like to watch it because I respect the content creator and that fact that he needed to put this ad in to make money. And then maybe if I watch these ads, the companies who sponsor these videos will be like, Camellia, let us sponsor you,
/brainfood. Get started today for just $5. And like I said, if you've thought about supporting us, Dollar Shave Club is a really easy way to do that. And with that said, let's get into today's video. Alright, so contrary to popular belief, a decent percentage of the human population has known definitively the Earth was roughly spherical for over 2,000 years.
Wow.
This is hardly impressive, as we noted in our Brain Food show.
I don't know why, but I'm just happy whenever I see a bee.
Podcast, which you should also check out. Bees also use this fact in their own absurdly fascinating navigation and in communicating directions to other bees. As for humans, we took a little longer to realize this, with Pythagoras from the 6th century BC, generally credited with being the first known person to have suggested a spherical Earth, though the idea did...
Just imagine being back then, having this massive ass bald head here, and being like, guys, I think the planet's round. I think we are round. We're living on a round planet.
Didn't exactly catch on at that point.
What bad timing, right when I start the video?
Aristotle, 4th century BC, agreed and supported the hypothesis with observations such as that the southern constellations rise higher in the sky when a person travels south. He also noted that during a lunar eclipse, the Earth's shadow is round. Much more definitively, the 3rd century BC head librarian of the Library of Alexandria.
That's actually really smart. Like, he noticed that when an eclipse was happening that the shape was round. I didn't even think about that. Ayo, they smart.
Alexandria Eratosthenes built on their ideas and managed to calculate the circumference of the Earth with remarkable accuracy. How? Well, he simply used the knowledge that at noon on the summer solstice there was a well in Syene where the sun shone directly down to the bottom with no shadow. Thus, at noon on summer solstice, he used a rod to measure the angle of the shadow made in Alexandria and found it to be about 7 degrees, or about 1/50th of a circle. With this information, he now just needed to know the exact distance between Syene and Alexandria to get the circumference of the Earth, about 50 times the distance between Syene and Alexandria.
Math can be so cool, but also, like, how? Like, how did they figure that out? Like, I don't think I ever cooked that hard.
Alexandria. He hired a survey crew known as Bemetists to measure the distance, which they found to be about 5,000 stadia. He then concluded that the Earth must be about 250,000 stadia around. Depending on which stadion measurement he was using, his figure was either 1% too small or 16% too large. Many scholars
Baldness can be majestic, exuding confidence and charm.
It really can.
Its style. It's all about owning your uniqueness and showing the world your true self. Shine on.
It's really, honestly, baldness can be very majestic. I admire baldness way more than people with a comb over, because it's like they just decided, hey, my forehead has now become part of my head and is now going back so far that you can see the top of my head. I might as well just remove all hair. And that's that requires so much courage and bravery. And it's like, hats off to those. They deserve it. Except for...
Scholars think it likely he was using the Egyptian stadion, 157.5 meters, being in Egypt at the time, which would make his estimate roughly 1% too small. Alright, so moving on to the so-called Dark Ages, in which Christianity supposedly squashed such outlandish ideas as a spherical Earth, the truth is exactly the opposite.
Oh my gob.
In Christian medieval Europe, 7th century Catholic monk and scholar Bede produced an influential treatise that included a discussion of the spherical nature of the world. This work, The Reckoning of Time, was copied and distributed to clerics across the Carolingian Empire. Later, in the 1300s, Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy also describes the Earth as a sphere, and again, nobody seemed to have a problem with this. The Catholics, and later other branches of Christianity, weren't the only religious sects that seemed to have its clergy and scholars almost universally think that the world was spherical. The Islamic world also concurred, as historian Jeffrey Burton Russell sums up.
Oh wait, I'm wrong. We're in the past right now, guys. We'll get to the point where the crazy people believe in the future now, okay? We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll be able to go and lecture people, okay?
With extraordinarily few exceptions, no educated person in the history of Western civilization from the 3rd century BC onward believed that the Earth was flat. Beyond the academics of the Western world, even the most empty-headed sailor knew the Earth was spherical simply by the fact that ships disappear.
There we go. So basically what he's in conclusion is everybody with a brain knew the Earth was round. So what happened?
Over the horizon, with the bottom first, and then the mast the last to be sighted. A similar effect is observed when spotting land from a ship. It really doesn't take a rocket surgeon to realize that the sea's surface must curve continually. Despite this, there really still is a tiny percentage of the world's population who believe that the world is flat. You might at this point be wondering just how many. While internet comment threads make it seem as if the percentage is large, the reality is probably drastically less. I mean, comment trolls are going to troll. Look below for examples. As for some numbers, according to a 2018 poll run
He knows that the comments are going to be full with people like, this is bullshit, the Earth is flat, this is a conspiracy to make me think the Earth is round, this is stupid. You know what I mean? I bet. Maybe we'll look at the comments afterwards, chat.
Run by the massive market research firm YouGov, the 8,215 responses, which were chosen to have a high probability of accurately representing the wider adult populace, showed 84% of respondents said they have always believed the world is round. 5% stated, I always thought the world is round, but more recently, I am skeptical/have doubts.
This 5% is concerning.
2% stated, I have always thought the world is flat, but more recently, I am skeptical/have doubts. And 2% went with, I have
Wait, there's 2% that always thought the world was flat? What? They grew up thinking, oh, we're just flat because a map is flat? What?
always believed the world is flat. The remaining 7% stated other or not sure. While the good people at YouGov certainly know their stuff with respect to getting accurate data that represents the wider populace, we were curious as to what a larger sample
Actually, Chad, the Earth is diamond-shaped, and you can't prove otherwise.
of our own audience would reveal, though with the caveat that a general internet poll can sometimes be notoriously inaccurate. But for the curious, and for whatever it's worth,
How long have flat earthers exist? Have flat earthers existed since back when they discovered the Earth wasn't flat?
our poll asking more or less the same questions received
We just have low polygon, guys. The rendering distance in the video game is just really bad. The video game of life, we can't render anything past, like 50 kilometers. So blame the engine.
over 72,000 votes. So, what were the results? Well, approximately here we go. 96% of respondents stated that they firmly believe the world is round. 1% went with, I used to firmly believe the world is round, but now have doubts. 1% voted for, I firmly believe the world is flat. 0% stated, I used to firmly believe the world is flat, but now I have doubts.
Wow.
1% noted, I am not sure what I believe on this issue. These numbers seem
That 1% at the bottom, they're cowards. They're cowards. You know what you believe in. Don't pretend. You're just too afraid to say it.
surprisingly reasonable for an online poll when comparing to something a little more rigorously implemented like the YouGov poll. While our numbers skew more towards round earthers, this is perhaps to be expected given we know definitively that our audience skews towards being much more educated than the general populace. Good for you guys. And just because we were curious about the many online trolls who, as stated, it's our pet hypothesis, are actually making it seem like there are a lot more flat earthers than there actually are, we did a follow-up poll which got 54,000 votes. For whatever it's worth, in this one, approximately 9% of respondents stated, I believe the world is round, but sometimes say online it's flat. 2% stated, I believe the world
9% are trolls. 9% are trolls. Guys, I must confess to you, chat. I think the world is curved in a moon shape.
world is flat and advocate this position online. The remaining 89% stated, neither applies to me. And yes, we know these numbers don't add up to exactly 100% in either case, but YouTube's polling system rounds to the nearest whole number, so well, here we are. Okay, so with those numbers out of the way, this finally brings us to who started the relatively modern flat earth
Now we get to learn about the relatively modern flat earther version. I love Treasure Planet, but yes, our planet is like Treasure Planet.
movements and how on God's oblate spheroid Earth this movement is actually growing in an era where nearly all human knowledge is almost literally at everyone's fingertips. The genesis of the modern Flat Earth Society started in the mid-19th century thanks to one Samuel
It looks so ugly. This planet here, it looks so sad, like a sad little pancake.
Robotham of London, England. Dropping out of school at the tender age of 9, Robotham would eventually become convinced, or at least claimed he was, that not only was the Earth flat, but that everything we see in the heavens is actually only a few thousand miles from the Earth, stars and all. While his ideas were absurd for an incredible number of reasons, even given the technology and scientific knowledge of his era, what Robotham had going for him was that he was reportedly incredibly quick on his feet in debates and an extremely charismatic speaker, able to
Oh, he was an Elon Musk type. He was one of those people that would sell you fucking snake oil because he's charming and speak fast and then get other people flustered and they don't know how to respond. So of course,
to twist the words of even the best academics. It didn't actually matter if he was right or not, only that he was better at convincing lay people than the academics he regularly debated, or at least good at creating reasonable doubt. As noted by a contemporary article published in the Leeds Times, one thing he did demonstrate was that scientific dabblers unused to platform advocacy are unable to cope with a man, a charlatan, if you will, but clever and
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
thoroughly up in his theory, thoroughly alive to the weakness of his opponents. As well as making a small fortune from public speaking, he also wrote various works, including a book aptly titled Earth, Not a Globe. Robotham ultimately created
Guys, if he can publish a book, maybe we all should publish a book. I should make a book called Why Cringe is Best. And it's just gonna be a picture of the cringiest thing I can think of, which is just, I don't know what is the cringiest thing you can think of? I don't know. Maybe a butthole? Buttholes are pretty cringy.
the Zetetic Society, which, besides advocating for a flat Earth, also advocated that only facts that one could prove true themselves could be accepted as true. On the side, Robotham made a bit of extra money by going as Dr. Samuel Burley and making money by selling cure-alls and life extenders of his own invention. While by the early 20th century, the society started had gradually faded into even more obscurity than it already was at its peak during Robotham's lifetime, all was not lost. The truth, it cannot be killed so easily, apparently. In 1956, when mankind was on the verge of putting a satellite in orbit, Samuel Shenton of Dover in the UK came across the former works of the Universal Zetetic Society, the successor to
He was not just a do-your-own research guy. He was only the research you do can be seen as accurate. Anybody else's research is invalid. It's just 200 pages of buttholes. Yes, just different types of buttholes. Animal buttholes, people buttholes, plants buttholes, because plants have buttholes too. They're called roots.
Robothams, and he was hooked. He then established the International Flat Earth Research Society, or IFERS. This adopted some of the ideas of the Zetetic Society before.
You know what? There's a few artists. There's a few artists that will draw little buttholes. And it reminds me of that Bob's Burger episode where the sister draws animals with their buttholes. And like they were like horrified by them. But I'm like, that art is like peak. It's peak butthole art. I'm joking. Clearly that's not their buttholes. Clearly the buttholes are somewhere else.
For it, most notably, as you might have guessed from their new name, that the Earth was flat.
Also, according to YouTube, apparently I make things sound too believable and people don't get when I'm joking. So, JK!
Of course, this timing wasn't exactly ideal given the launch of Sputnik in 1957, which, beyond being in orbit, put out a signal that anyone with a little know-how could track, very clearly demonstrating the spherical nature of the Earth. This didn't faze him in the slightest, however. He simply noted that satellites circled over the disk of the world, and that would sailing round the Isle of Wight prove that it was spherical. It is just the same for those satellites. When pictures of the Earth were taken from space, clearly showing the planet's spherical nature, the man who strongly advocated trusting what you can see with your own eyes stated, "It's easy to see how a photograph like that could fool the untrained eye." When astronauts came
Oh, a photograph. It's lies. Because your eyes can't see the truth. Your eyes are bad. You have bad eyes. The key way to make it sound not sound believing is to have a mocking tone of your voice while saying, I try to sound mocking, but sometimes my mocking just sounds like my normal voice. I'm sorry. I made this really bad joke, guys. Somebody said you sound like, criticize my tone. I want to say they sounded like, my tone made me sound like a cringy boomer or something like that, they said. And I said, I'm sorry, my tone is bad. I'm tone deaf. Okay, I'll let that sit with you guys.
Came back still believing the Earth wasn't flat. He went with the catch-all explanation for any conspiracy theory when no other suitable explanation can be thought up. He stated, "It's a deception of the public and it..."
Thank you! The guy never commented back. He never commented back. But I am tone deaf, chat.
Isn't right. Despite the giant, roughly spherical mound of evidence staring the members right in the face.
Guys, my head might look round, but it's not. It's round to the untrained eyes. My head is actually flat.
including the variety easily confirmed by anyone with a modicum of knowledge in physics, the society did not die completely, though by 1972 had dropped from a peak of about 3,000 members down to around 100 spanning the globe. That same year, Shenton died, and Californian Charles Johnson more or less took over the remnants, creating the International Flat Earth Research Society of America. Johnson also advocated that there was a global conspiracy with regards to the very flat Earth, not just today, but spanning millennia. To quote
Why do they have a society?
him, this was a conspiracy that Moses, Columbus, and FDR all fought against. Beyond that, Columbus most definitely thought the Earth was spherical, simply misjudging its circumference. And we're guessing Moses didn't have to fight anyone on this one, as the ancient Egyptians firmly believed in the concept of a flat Earth, as did seemingly the Hebrews around the time he supposedly lived. So what exactly do the world's governments and countless scientists and high school physics students throughout human history have to gain by convincing people the world is spherical instead of flat? Well, Johnson advocated that this is a tool used by scientists to get rid of religion. Of course, as noted, Christian scholars throughout history on the whole have advocated for the very spherical Earth, and we're not aware of any major religious denomination the world over today that goes with the flat Earth model.
Wait, so flat earthers are saying that scientists are trying to convince people that it's spherical because it's a way to be anti-religious, and yet the Christians believed in sphericalness of the planet before many other people believed in it. The irony. It's people not reading their own source material.
So apparently there is no conflict. But hey, we guess Eratosthenes must have really had it in for those ancient Egyptian and Greek gods. In any event, despite Johnson's less than compelling arguments, over time this new society actually gained followers up to a peak of about 3,500 members under his leadership.
That's too many! That's too many!
Disaster struck, however, when a fire at headquarters destroyed some of the records of membership in 1997. Ultimately, Johnson himself passed away in 2001, and the society was temporarily just as dead. All was not lost, however, as there is no medium greater than the internet at giving humans the ability to discover the truth in anything for themselves, if we weren't all lazy and our monkey brains were not chock full of cognitive biases. And so it was that in
We are so cognitively biased, guys. We are so convinced whatever we believe in the most that we are factual. We will not be convinced otherwise. We are stubborn little monkeys. Ooga, ooga, wonka, wonka. I am stubborn.
2004, one Daniel Shenton created a discussion forum home for the mostly dead Flat Earth Society, and by 2009, a new wiki website was created in its place, with the society slowly growing from there to apparently around 500 members to date. There are also many Flat Earth pages and channels.
Only 500. Okay. That's way better than the 3,000 back then.
On sites like Facebook, Twitter, and indeed YouTube that sometimes exceed 100,000 members or subscribers of a given page, channel, or profile.
100,000 members?
For whatever that's worth. In the latest incarnation of the society, as with their
Wieso, weshalb, warum? Wer nicht weiß, bleibt dumm. You can invite listening.
forebears, the modern group strongly advocates for only accepting that which you can see with your own eyes and prove with your own efforts. As they note on their website,
Ja, ein bisschen. Ich bin ein bisschen. Weißt du, so viele Leute sind so dumm. So viele Leute sind bescheuertes Dummköpfe.
the simplest is by relying on one's own senses to discern the true nature of the world around us. The world looks flat, the bottom of clouds are flat, the movement of the sun. These are all examples of your senses telling you that we do not live in a spherical,
Was? Was?
heliocentric world. This is what's called using an empirical approach, or an approach that relies on information from your senses. Alternatively, when using Descartes' method of Cartesian doubt to skeptically view the world around us, one quickly finds that the notion of a spherical world is the theory which has the burden of proof and not flat Earth theory. As for the model of the Earth they go with, while there is some dissension among the ranks over exact details, the current belief advocated by the Flat Earth Society is that the Earth is disc-shaped. The North Pole lies at the center.
Natürlich, es ist ein Disk. Es ist ein Disk. Es ist nicht ein Papier. Es ist ein Disk. Du verstehst nicht, ich verstehe nicht. Niemand versteht es.
of this disk, and there is an ice wall surrounding the outermost parts of the Earth that keep the oceans contained. This wall is nearly impossible to reach owing to the fact that NASA is closely guarding it, ensuring that no one ever gets close enough to see it for themselves. NASA also is extremely active in generating satellite photos of the Earth and generating other data, all meant to keep people believing in a spherical Earth. Seemingly, the Google Earth team must also be in on it too, clearly abandoning the company's long-held unofficial mantra of "don't be evil." As evidence of this conspiracy and how far-reaching it is, they also point out on their website that the United Nations emblem strongly resembles the Flat Earth Society's view of what the Earth actually looks like. We guess clearly showing the logo design team led by industrial designer.
What? Okay, I'm gonna put on my foil cap right now, guys. I'm gonna go a little conspiracy. Why is NASA putting so much effort into convincing people the world is spherical? Like, who cares if a bunch of dummies think the world is flat? What harm does that have? But it is strange that they're working so hard but NASA's not all about control. I'm wondering if there's money in it. Like, if they let too many people believe the Earth is flat, that they won't get funding. I wonder if it has to do with the money, because NASA gets money to investigate or look at stuff in space, right? So if we convince too many people that the Earth is flat, then NASA loses its funding, because why do we need NASA to investigate something that we don't care about? It's just for the good of humanity. If they don't curb this, then masses become even stupider. I mean, people are gonna be stupid, whether it's this thing they believe in or something else. You can't stop stupidity. Stupidity cannot be stopped. It's a disease, and it will continue to be spread. They just send NASA to go look at the other stars for another Earth. Yeah, they should be NASA should be doing something else. NASA should not be just posting pictures being like, look, it's round, Chad! Look, it's round! You can slow it down, though. Wait, you can slow what down? Oh, the stupid? I don't know about that. I don't know. The only way you could slow down the stupidity is a debuff. But I also think stupidity is something that is taught and not something you're born with. I think stupidity is definitely taught. I think most people can be taught to be smarter, but they're just not taught anything. And it's not about being taught book smart stuff. It's about being taught street smart stuff, chat. They need to go on the streets and learn how to shiv people. Well, flat earthers and a lot of other type of people. Yes, let's nuke everybody. Let's just nuke everybody. Nuclear war. Maybe if we survive, I will get a house. Because that's the only way I'll be able to afford a house, is if there's nuclear annihilation.
And Oliver Lincoln Lundquist in 1945 didn't get the memo that the true shape of the Earth was supposed to be a secret. To be fair, when his team originally designed it, it was originally just supposed to be used on the badges at the United Nations Charter Signing Conference, so only for people who already knew that the Earth was flat.
That's hilarious. Fallout. Yes, I'll be living in Fallout with a McMansion. Because right now I won't be able to afford it. But then when the nuclear bomb drops and I survive out of pure stubbornness, I will survive. And then I will get my mansion with my nuclear pool. Also, apparently people on YouTube did not like the way I said nuclear. Is nuclear not the way you say nuclear? How do I say nuclear?
Fun fact though, Lundquist did, however, make up for the scrub later by designing the classic blue and white Q-tip box. In any event, you might at this point be wondering how the Flat Earth Society believes commercial airlines and ships the
It's not nuclear. It's nuclear.
world over continue to seemingly travel in one direction and manage to circle the globe. Well, this is because these ships and planes are literally circling. They state, circumnavigation is performed by moving in a great circle around the North Pole. As for how the ship and plane captains don't seem to be aware of this, in modern times it's because GPS devices and autopilots are designed so the software makes it look like the craft is circling a globe and not continually turning slightly. Of course, it's not clear how they account for people tricking themselves when navigating before or without GPS, which has only been ubiquitous for a couple of decades or so. You can see our video, Who Invented GPS and How Does It Work, for more on that. This is a particularly important consideration in planes, where weight and balance is always an essential consideration if one doesn't want to die a fiery death. But if they were really traveling in...
But what if we want to die a fiery death? Because that's the best way to die. Actually, it's drowning, but we're not going to talk about that.
the way that flat earthers claim, the fuel requirements would be different, sometimes vastly so. No surprise.
I have to end my sentence with allegedly. Allegedly? Allegedly? Oh my god, I can't speak now, allegedly. I am a very sidetrack, allegedly.
Surprise here, big oil must of course be involved in covering that one up. As for, the whole day and night thing, this is explained on their website as such. The sun moves in circles around the North Pole. When it is over your head, it's day. When it's not, it's night. The light of the sun is confined to a limited area, and its light acts as a spotlight upon the Earth. The
Oh my god, allegedly.
apparent effect of the sun rising and setting is a perspective effect. How exactly the light from the sun only works as a spotlight isn't clear. It's also not clear how the phases of the moon and lunar and solar eclipses work, given this spotlight model, and given they believe the sun is always above the Earth. Moving on, as for the many who claim to be able to see the curvature of the Earth when on high-altitude commercial flights, well, the Flat Earth Society, who advocated trusting your own senses over what anyone tells you, tells these people to, quote, "Quite simply, you cannot. The windows on commercial aircraft are small and heavily curved. Even if they flew high enough for a person to see curvature, it would still not be visible to passengers."
Oh my god, allegedly.
As for the issue of someone with even a halfway decent telescope being able to see the spherical nature of other planets in the solar system, including them spinning away, the Flat Earth Society claims planets are orbiting astronomical objects. The Earth is not a planet by definition, as it sits at the center of our solar system above which the planets and the sun revolve.
See, flat earther people, allegedly, they are the type of people, allegedly, that think that they are the center of the universe, allegedly. They are narcissists, allegedly.
The Earth's uniqueness, fundamental differences, and centrality makes any comparison to other nearby celestial bodies insufficient, like comparing basketballs to the court on which they bounce. As for how gravity works in the flat Earth model, the Earth is constantly accelerating at a rate of 32 feet per second squared, or 9.8 meters per second squared. This constant acceleration causes what you think of as gravity. Imagine sitting in a car that never stops speeding up. You will be forever pushed into your seat. The Earth works much the same way. It is constantly accelerating upwards, being pushed by a universal accelerator, a UA.
We are constantly going up, allegedly? What the heck, allegedly? We're just being projected towards what, allegedly? Oh my god, allegedly.
Known as dark energy or etheric wind. You may have spotted a problem with this explanation given the whole issue of eventually exceeding the speed of light. In fact, if constant acceleration at 9.8 meters per second squared happens, it would only take about a year for the Earth to reach the speed of light. Well, they've got that covered too, explaining, due to special relativity, this is not the case. At this point, many readers will question the validity of any answer which uses advanced, intimidating sounding physics.
Actually, it's not that because I said so, allegedly.
Terms to explain a position. However, it is true, the relevance equation is V over C equals tan h AT over C. One will find that in this equation, tan h AT over C can never exceed or equal 1. This means that velocity can never reach the speed of light, regardless of how long one accelerates for and the rate of the acceleration. Anyway, as to what lies below the Earth, this is heavily disputed among flat earthers, but it doesn't really matter as you
Is this God, allegedly?
can't get there anyway. You see, to quote flat earther Robbie Davidson in an interview with Forbes, "We don't believe anything can fall off the edge because a big portion of the flat earth community believes that we're in a dome, like a snow globe. So the sun, moon, and stars are all inside. It's just very high, but all contained inside. So there's actually no way to fall off of the Earth. Given
We are a snow globe, allegedly.
it takes only a modicum of effort to disprove pretty much everything said on their website and prove definitively for oneself that the Earth is roughly spherical without needing to trust any scientists or government, you might think that flat Earth
No, it's not actually flat. We're actually a globe. We're not a sphere, though. We are just like a half globe, guys. We are a half round. So many people who have these weird ideas tend to be people who can't. I think they lack empathy and sympathy a lot, and that they put themselves as self-important. That they put themselves as the center, and so something like the Earth is the center of everything makes them feel better because it gives them validation that they are indeed the most important thing. They are the chosen one. They are the main character, chat. When we all know I'm the main character.
Earthers just aren't trying. Well, you're kind of right, but there are exceptions. Case in point, limo driver Mike Hughes, who managed to raise about $8,000 thanks to a Flat Earth fundraiser. Why? Well, it's to build a rocket to reach the heavens to once and for all prove that the Earth was flat. Reportedly, the final hilariously fitting steam-powered rocket and launch.
Do flat earthers believe that we are being projected towards the heavens and that we will eventually smoosh into God? What?
Platform cost around $20,000 and took 10 years to build. With it, Hughes managed to achieve an altitude of almost 1,900 feet, which, while kind of impressive for an amateur-built, homemade rocket that could carry a human, was nonetheless not able to achieve his objective of getting him to space. It's not even close. If only it was possible to build more powerful rockets, or if there existed a balloon designed to be able to soar into the heavens with some sort of device on board that could capture and store what it sees, like an eye. Or, stick with us here, people, if a human going along for the ride was a requirement to show NASA hadn't tampered with this futuristic visual capture device, some sort of bird-like machine that could carry humans above 1,500 feet. On that note, for a mere $12,000 to $16,000, Hughes could have purchased a charter flight ticket to not only take him higher than altitudes of 1,900 feet, but also take him to Antarctica to see the massive ice wall for himself. Or if the Flat Earth Society wanted to pool together their resources for prices of about $25,000 to $70,000, they could charter a flight to the South Pole itself. Though a thing they don't tell you on the vacation package brochure is that while you can go visit the South Pole, NASA subjects everyone that does to severe mental retraining to ensure all memories of the ice wall have been erased and replaced with pleasant but very wall-free recollections. All joking and head-scratching aside, it's always important to note that many of the core psychological quirks that see flat earthers intractably convinced that the Earth is flat in the face of all the evidence to the contrary exist in all of us. Monkey brain is going to monkey brain. We further all have many beliefs we firmly cling to,
Monkey brain gonna monkey brain.
just as tenuously supported by our level of knowledge on a subject, though thankfully for most of us the absurdity isn't quite so easy to spot, allowing us to safely continue to think of ourselves as superior to mere mortals with alternate ideas. In the end, we all firmly believe many things that aren't true at all, and no amount of evidence could ever convince any of us to change our minds on some of these things. Food for thought indeed. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did,
I think, and this is why I think sometimes it's better off letting people believe their delusions that they believe than going and trying to waste your time trying to convince monkey brains that what they believe in is not right. Because a lot of people will just be stubborn in their ways. I think the only type of people we need to convince otherwise are people that are directly causing harm to people. Because believing the earth is flat, as long as you're not shooting people who believe the earth is round, then you're not causing harm. Then it's not really a problem, right? But if you're causing harm because people gonna believe what they're gonna believe. And I know, I guarantee I'm stubborn in ways as well.